I want to go ahead and welcome you guys and thank you guys for coming. I wanted to take this opportunity to give you a chance to meet and greet and sit down and talk to our assistant coaches that have been hired here at Rutgers. We have had a lot of requests and just thought this would be the best opportunity to give everybody a chance to sit down if you choose to face-to-face before signing day. Signing day, we want it to be about the players that come into this program and give them an opportunity to be showcased and give our coaches a chance to meet and greet with you guys at this time. A little bit about the coaches that have been hired here so far. When I accepted this job back in December, I had a very detailed plan of how I wanted to go about building this program, really from A to Z. And the number one thing at the top of the list was surround myself with great people that were great coaches, a great support staff, and really good players that we bring into this program. And I think I've done a great job of doing that. Very excited about the group of men that I put together to help us do great things here at Rutgers. I wanted to just talk a little bit about the hiring process and the things that I was looking for in some of the guys that I hired. I had a list of things that I was looking for. Didn't have to hit every single one of them with every single guy, but I wanted to make sure that we were pretty spot on with most of the characteristics that I was looking for. The number one thing I wanted were men of character. I wanted guys that could be trusted, not only by me, but most importantly by the players. I wanted guys that could build connection with the players, and they could show the players that they cared about them. Because if we care about the players the right way and we help develop them to reach their full potential, we're going to have a chance for them to play extremely hard for us. The third thing was competence. I wanted to hire a group of men that were very knowledgeable in the position that we were going to ask them to coach. They know and understand how to recruit players to this level and know how to recruit the type of players that we want here. A couple other things that I was looking for was compatibility. I wanted a group of guys that I was compatible to, that I thought were compatible with each other. Coaching requires extreme sacrifices, a lot of commitment, and when we work extremely long hours, it is more beneficial to have guys that enjoy coming to work every single day, enjoy getting into those staff rooms, those foxholes, and working well together. And I thought compatibility was going to be an important trait with a lot of the guys that I've hired. The other thing I was looking for were a group of guys that had come from successful experiences. Not all of them had to be that way, but I wanted the majority of the staff to have been a part of winning programs. We all know winning is extremely hard at this level, and if you haven't done it, you don't know how to make it happen. It requires an extreme amount of commitment. It requires sacrifices not only by the coaches but their families if you want to reach the highest level. And I wanted to assemble a group of coaches that have been there and done that. A couple other things that I really was looking for in the coaching staff was loyalty. Loyalty to me. You're going to, in this profession, you're going to come across a lot of really good times, and you're going to come across a lot of bad times, and you're going to face a lot of adversity. And when you hit those rough times, you want to make sure you're surrounded with a bunch of people that are loyal to you. They stay positive. They believe in the plan, and they continue to move forward. And then the last thing was just high energy. We talked about that at the press conference. We needed to change the culture here at Rutgers in the football program. It needed to start with positive energy, and it starts with myself and the coaches that are bringing to this program to try to instill the type of energy that we want in this program, but in these players also. Where are these guys from? There's been a lot of talk about not a lot of connections to New Jersey. And to be honest with you, it didn't matter where I got a job. I wasn't concerned about where they were from. Most of these coaches are guys that I have coached with at some point along my journey. As you look at their resumes, there are guys from Iowa State, from Wisconsin, from Arkansas, from Ohio State. There are 8 individuals on the staff in some capacity, whether it's the support staff, coaching staff, that had been at Ohio State at some point in some capacity. And that was really important to me because they're going to understand the expectations of the program. They're going to understand the day-to-day operations, because a lot of the things that I'm going to do are going to be modeled by what we did at Ohio State. So that was important to me. And lastly, just want to talk about my expectations. They're not a lot of them, but they're going to be high expectations. One, it's to be involved in all aspects of our players' lives. That's our job as a coaching staff, to make sure we're on top of and develop them academically, socially, as well as athletically. And the only way you can do that is to have a very strong connection, have a very strong relationship built on trust, and make sure that you show that you care about them, and that you have open lines of communication, not only with them but their family or guardian back home, and that they know that we've got their best interest in mind. The other thing is to bring in the right type of player here to Rutgers. There are certain characteristics that we're going to look for in the type of recruits that we bring into the program to help us change the culture and be competitive on the football field and eventually win. And it's important that they not only develop the current players that we have, that they actively go out and recruit the right type of player that we're looking for. And again, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say I'm extremely excited about being the head coach here, and I'm even more excited about the type of men that I've been able to surround myself with as we start this journey. And we get ready to hit the road recruiting here on Thursday. With that being said, I'll open it up to a few questions here for myself, and then the next step is I'm going to have the offensive coordinator Drew Mehringer come up, and then defensive coordinator Niemann come up, and let them answer some questions. And then after that, the staff will be upstairs assigned at tables and let you guys openly go talk to some guys if you feel like you want to.
Hey, Chris. Ryan Dunleavy, Gannett. You mentioned the high energy and the change of culture. I think there's 3 guys 28 years old or younger, four guys maybe 32 or younger. Just kind of the youth of this, and we've seen it on Twitter a little bit too. How does that help in terms of an advantage?
Well, I don't want them wasting their time on Twitter, but no, that was by design. I think we have a pretty good blend of youth and excitement and energy with experience and wisdom, and that combination is really what I wanted on the staff. I didn't want a staff of all older, experienced guys that have been through the wars, and I didn't want a staff that was completely filled with a bunch of young go-getters either. I wanted a nice little blend of that, and I think I've been able to do that. I didn't want a staff of a bunch of yes men either, but I did want to build a staff that I felt like could get aligned with my vision and my plan fairly easily.
Hey Chris, Dan Duggan, NJ.com. Obviously one spot left to fill. Can you just kind of give an update on where that stands?
I'm taking my time with it. I have talked to several people, but I'm not in any rush to do it. I want to make sure it's the right fit for the offensive staff, the right fit for whatever needs that I feel like we have left to address as a full staff. I hope to have it filled here fairly quickly, but there's no timetable. I want to make sure it's right, more so than just hiring a guy by a certain date.
Would that definitely be a running backs coach, or is there flexibility there?
There's flexibility, but right now running backs is the position that I'm looking for.
Chris, obviously you have a defensive backs background. Jay Niemann has a defensive backs background, and you use 2 spots on defensive backs coaches. Was that an emphasis on purpose, given kind of Rutgers struggles in the defensive backfield?
No, I mean, to have 4 guys coaching the DBs would be crazy, to be honest with you. But Jay has had tremendous experience both in coaching the secondary and the linebackers, and he's been a back 7 guy. So I'm very comfortable with him going to coach the linebackers. He played linebacker when he was a player. Not sure how many years ago that was, Jay, but it was a while ago. But he's a defensive coordinator. He and I believe in a lot of the same things, but my comfort level of him going to coach the linebackers is extremely high, and that's why I hired him.
Chris, Keith Sargent, NJ.com. There was a perception that Rutgers wasn't maybe physically ready to compete with the best in the Big Ten. Is that what you were looking for when you were trying to hire a strength and conditioning coach, maybe to try to change that perception and improve that?
Well, there are a lot of things that the strength and conditioning coach is going to do here in this program. I've said this to a few people. If I didn't think I could get Kenny Parker to come with me, I might not have taken the job. It was that important of a hire for me. He's not going to be just a strength and conditioning coach. Is he going to physically develop the players? Absolutely. But the mental development and the confidence and the belief and the training that we put these guys through is going to be probably more important than the physical development. The adversity that he's going to put them through to see how they respond, the competitive environment that he's going to create both in the weight room and in the off-season drills and on the practice field is going to be extremely important for us. So that was the biggest hire that I could have made in Kenny Parker. Whatever perceptions there are out there about Rutgers, I really don't care. It's about moving forward, and I needed to do it with a guy that was aligned with the vision of how I wanted the program developed, and Kenny was a home run for me.
Coach Mike Pavlichko from WCTC Radio. Can you talk a little bit about the hiring of this fellow back here, Rick Mance, who was really, when people talk about there aren't a lot of connections maybe to Jersey in this area, he's obviously a guy who has those connections, is well-known, well-respected in this area, and I assume you may not have had much connection with him in the past.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't know Rick when I hired him. When I got this job, and again, it didn't matter if it was at Rutgers or San Jose State, in some school in California. Part of my plan of building a staff, I wanted to get somebody in the high school directors or high school relations, position that could help build relationship with the high school coaches in that state. And as I started to make calls around or receive calls and emails, there was one name that kept coming up, and it was Rick. And as calls and emails and text messages kept pouring in about Rick, I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm not sure who you are, but I need to meet you. So he came over, told him what I was looking for before he came over, and we had that initial meeting, and he came in with a very detailed plan of what we should do here at Rutgers to try to build relationships with high school coaches and promote the game of football here in the state of New Jersey. He had energy, he had passion. He's got love for Rutgers, and it didn't take me long to know that that's the guy I wanted to have on my staff. But we did not have a previous relationship. I'd never met him before, didn't know him, but just the outpouring of support for him and a position like I had created here at Rutgers was unbelievable, and I knew that I needed to talk to him, and when I did, it was real clear that that's the guy I needed to hire.
Coach Bobby Durham from Rivals.com. Do you have to take a kind of unique approach to close out this recruiting class? Going about doing that?
Well, I think recruiting itself, you have to take a unique and creative approach regardless of what point it is. Right now, we are playing catch-up to a lot of recruits. We're trying to hang on to kids that are committed to us. We're actively trying to find other prospects to go out and try to recruit. And it's a challenge at this point in the game because we are late. But, it doesn't matter if it's right now in the middle of January or the middle of August. We are going to try to be creative and do things differently to try to build relationships and connections with recruits regardless of where they're from or what position they play. It's just a little bit more challenging because typically you're recruiting guys for anywhere from 1 to 2 years, and you have a very strong relationship with them. We don't have that luxury right now. So we're trying to build relationships with guys in 3 or 4 weeks before signing date, and that's difficult to do.
Hey, Chris, Steve Politti from NJ.com. Curious, now that you've been here and you have your staff in place, you talked about changing the energy. What have you seen overall from where it is now, and what has to happen in the next coming months for that to change?
Well, it's got to stay consistent. I think myself, I came in here extremely energetic and excited to get going. The coaching staff that has been assembled, the support staff that's been assembled is the same way right now. They're really hungry, excited, and eager to get going. But it's about the consistency. Can we sustain that energy? Can we do that when the players get back here? Can we do that when we hit a road bump, a speed bump in the road and we face a little adversity? That's going to be the challenge for us, and it starts with me at the top, but I think I've surrounded myself with guys that understand how to do their business, and they understand the expectations, and they understand that, hey, there are going to be good times and bad times, and we're going to stay extremely positive through both of them.
Chris, Sam Hellman from Scout here. With the players gone right now, have you been able to have any interaction with them recently? And then what can they expect when they come back for the spring semester?
Yeah, we've had a lot of interaction with the players. More of the assistant coaches have than I have. We have had conversations over the phone. There have been several players that have come back early from break, have stopped in the offices. I've met with them in my office. I bump into some of them as they go down into the weight room or the training room to get some rehab or treatment from previous injuries. But we're doing the best that we can in a short amount of time to not only recruit but connect with our current roster. We're just excited to get them back here. They'll show up here Monday night for a team check-in. They'll have their first workout Tuesday morning on the 19th at 5 a.m. We're going to have a little early morning boot camp type of deal just to find out where we're at with our players. But they're excited about that because they're the unknown and what they've heard, and we're excited to get a chance to be around them and see them. So that'll be the first time that most of the staff has had any face-to-face contact with the players. But we're doing everything we can to try to connect with them early, because that's going to be a big part of our success here moving forward, is how fast we can connect with them.
Chris, Tom Canavan with the Associated Press. It's the day after the national championship, and I think every Rutgers fan is probably sitting there going, great game last night. When is Rutgers going to be in that kind of
Yeah, there are a lot of schools around the country asking that same question. You know, we're not sitting here talking about championships. We're talking about getting better every single day. And does every coach in this profession have a dream of potentially playing in big games like that? Absolutely. You know, been there as an assistant. It's unbelievable. It's a great feeling, unlike anything else when you reach that position. But our goal right now is just to get better every single day. We have so many things that we have to do to try to get this program going in the right direction, just to compete in the division that we're in. And we're going to do that one step at a time. And we're not going to be in any rush. We're not going to take any shortcuts. We're not going to worry about 2 years, 3 years down the road. We're worried about just being the best that we can be today and get better tomorrow.
Chris, Garrett Seppian, Daily Targum. You mentioned signing day coming up. You have 12 commits, I believe, right now. Is there a number that you're looking for by the end, but when signing day comes around, or anything like that?
No, we talk about that every day. I'm not concerned about the number of commits we get right now. Can we get up to 25? Yeah, we could, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about getting the right guys right now. We're not going to take shortcuts and just go out and grab somebody that maybe is not the right fit, whether it be character-wise, whether it be academically or athletically, and take a lot of risk. It's just not the best way to build the program for the long term success, and there's no number. It's all about the right guys.
Coach Kevin Xavier, the Daily Targum. You spoke earlier about your expectations for the players. How about your expectations for this team moving into next season? Is bowl eligibility enough?
I'm not worried about that. You know, bowl eligibility, that's for you guys to worry about it. Like I said, I'm worried about getting better from one day to the next. And if we do that, if we build a highly competitive football team that's focused on being the best that they can be and getting better every single day, and focused on being a great teammate, the wins and bowl eligibility and all those things will come. I'm not worried about any of that right now. We're not even going to talk to the players about that right now. It's how do we come together, build strong relationships, build a team that will compete every single day in every facet that we want them to compete in, and then eventually when we get on the field, the wins will come because of that. But we got to focus on the culture. We've got to focus on the work ethic, the toughness, all the things that make you a successful football team. We have no idea where we're at right now. We've got to find the baseline and a starting spot, and then develop the plan to get us to where we want to be, and the rest will take care of itself.
Head coach Jason Kahn from News 12 New Jersey. Welcome again. Piggybacking off of what you just said, I know it's still very early, but have you had any thoughts about the quarterback competition going in? Is Chris still going to be the starter going into next season?
No thoughts to that at all. You know, not worried about it. Every spot is open. Everything is going to be a competition. From the day they show up on Monday night and we have our first workout Tuesday morning, it's about competition. And if a player, and we've sent this message already, if you're afraid to compete, you're not going to be welcome here at Rutgers. Whether you're a current player, an incoming player, a recruit down the road, the program is going to be built on competition. And there are not going to be any starters anointed just because of what they've done in the past or where they're from or what age they are. The guys better come in and be ready to compete. They better buy into what we're doing. They better be a part of our culture and do the things that we want them to do, or it's not going to be the right place for them. Great. With that, guys, I would like to bring up our coordinators. The first one I'd like to bring up is offensive coordinator Drew Mehringer. Drew is a guy that I've known for quite some time. We crossed paths at Iowa State several years ago. He was at Ohio State going out as I was coming in at Ohio State. He has been mentored and groomed by one of my really good friends, Tom Herman, the head coach at Houston. I think Drew is an outstanding coach, a rising star in his profession, and he was one of the first targets that I had in mind when I got this job to be the offensive coordinator. With that, I'd like to introduce Drew Mehringer, our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach.
Good afternoon. I'm Drew Mehringer, and first off, I'd like to say I'm very excited to be here for a number of reasons. First off, I can't imagine an opportunity coming about like the one that I have in front of me, and more specifically, being able to work for probably the most motivated, one of the most precise, best plan-building people I've ever been around in my life. He's extremely detail-oriented, and I can't thank Coach Ash enough for the opportunity to be here at Rutgers. I'm very excited for the opportunity to be in this conference and at this university. Anytime you get the chance to say you're at the birthplace of college football, it's a tremendous, tremendous opportunity and one that I'm really excited about. Coach Ash has done a phenomenal job of surrounding us as assistant coaches with great guys, whether that be in a support staff role or other assistants. The guys I know on offense that I have are extremely motivated and very, very intelligent football coaches that seem to have the same intensity and passion for the game that I know that I have and that Coach Ash has as well. We're going to be an offense that's exciting to watch, and if you know anything about what Coach Ash just said about where I come from and the people that I've learned the game from, you have kind of an idea of what we're going to look like offensively. And like I said, I'm excited to work with these guys. They're all really good people, good guys to be around, intense people that are competitive and are not here to just excited to be at Rutgers. They came here to win, and this is an exciting time. So thank you to Coach Ash and President Barchi and our AD, Pat Hobbs, as well. So with that, any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer at this point.
Sam Hellman from Scout here. How would you describe your ideal quarterback to run your system? What are you looking for?
I think the ideal quarterback in the system, everyone's going to wonder if, hey, is he a dual threat guy? Is he a pro-style guy? And I don't think that's necessarily important. There's no one system ever that's been the saving grace of football, whether it be at the professional level or college football level. You look at what Tom Brady has done. You look at what Russell Wilson has done. You look at what people like Vince Young did in college. There's been a lot of ways to do it. I think the ideal quarterback for us is going to be a guy that's extremely competitive, an intelligent guy that's going to come in with a relentless passion to win. And really, I think the intangibles of the position separate itself far from what the measurables and the style of system that he fits in. So ideal quarterback-wise, extremely competitive and super intelligent.
Coach Mike Pavlichko from WCTC Radio. As much as it may be a fun, exciting offense to watch, it's probably just as fun to play in. How much of a draw is that when you go out on the recruiting trail?
That's a good question. I think if you look at the lineage of this offense and where it's come from and the people that have coached it in the past, I mean, you take it all the way back to Coach Meyer being at Utah, and there's been Alex Smith, and then he goes to Florida, and then there's Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, and then it goes to Ohio State, and there's Braxton Miller, Cardale Jones, J.T. Barrett. It goes to Houston, and there's Greg Ward, who they finished number 8 in the country this past year. I think it's exciting. You look at all those people, all those quarterbacks that have played in this offense, that position specifically, they've all had a lot of success. You look at some of the skill position players like Percy Harvin that have come out of this offense. You look at the draft picks that have come out. Devin Smith's in the NFL. Corey Philly Brown is in the NFL. Some of those guys, you look at some of the offensive linemen that have come out of this offense and the tight ends. Jeff Hireman got drafted. James Casey got drafted for us when we played at Rice. So, I mean, there's a very exciting offense to play play in, whether you're a skill position player or an offensive lineman. I think we're going to be an offense that spreads the ball around. We're not going to be isolated on a single receiver or a single back or on the quarterback specifically. We plan to use the entire field and all 11 people on it.
Drew, Ryan Dunleavy from the Asbury Park Press. Just piggybacking off the quarterbacks, have you had a chance to speak with Chris or Hayden, the two top guys from last year? What was your first impression or first evaluation if you've seen them on film too?
I've talked to all the quarterbacks, and you reach out to Chris, being the starter from this past year first, and very good conversation with him on the phone. Talked about the expectations we have, and the same thing with Hayden, the expectations that we have for that position. And when you address Hayden, I hope you didn't come in here to be the backup. Like as Coach Ash said, there are no starters, there are no backups right now. It's open competition, and all the way back down to even like Gio and those guys. It's open. It's open for all of those guys at every single position. So if you didn't come here to compete, come here to win your position or games, that for that matter, you don't really belong here.
And obviously, 28 years old, first coordinator job in the Big Ten. Kind of, how do you answer those concerns about, maybe he doesn't have enough experience?
I think that's going to be one of those things that keeps recurring until we play some games and have some success. The only thing that I can tell you is that Coach Ash is a smart man. I think that he probably did his research. I feel certainly very confident and I have a lot of belief in my ability to get the job done. I'm surrounded by great guys on the offensive staff that are very intelligent football coaches. So I think that as an offensive staff, we'll be more than ready. It's not one person that's going to get this job done. It's going to take all of us, and so we're very excited.
Coach Brian from the Daily Targum. A lot of people have a lot of doubts about your youth, but they don't really look at the positive side. You have a presence on Twitter, and with this youth, do you feel like you're a bit more relatable to these players in the recruiting trail, getting to talk to them? You played college about 9 years ago, not too far along. How do you feel that could be to your advantage, your youth?
I do think that I have the ability, at this current age that I am right now, to relate a little bit more to some of those high school players. I'm not that far removed, as you pointed out, from playing college football or being recruited for that matter. Being able to allay some of the fears that parents and prospective student athletes might have. I think that I do have that relatability. I do think that helps. There's also the flip side of that as well that you have to battle. But knowing like the right hashtags and stuff like that, and the emojis and all the cool like Twitter jokes is fun. I enjoy that.
Hey Drew, Dan Duggan from NJ.com. Obviously, there's limits on how much time you can spend with players until spring ball, but how will you go about getting them up to speed with a new system?
That's one of the things that we have set in the calendar. We have dedicated time for that, and I think that at this point, though, the biggest concern for us is preparing ourselves as a team mentally. And Coach Ash talked about the competitive drill work that we're going to do on the field. I think that if we get over that hump, if we become a competitive, tough football team, the X's and O stuff will come because if we're good coaches at all, we can get that part done. But if we don't have a tough competitive football team, I don't think the X's and O's will matter much.
Tom Canavan with the AP. As a coordinator, do the players have to fit the offense, or do you have to be able to tweak the offense to fit the players?
If you, as a coordinator, I think that if you have the gall to say that you're going to, make the players fit to your offense, then you're not going to be a coordinator for very long. Our job as coaches is to put our guys in the best position to win and to be successful and to utilize what they do best and put them in those types of those positions to win. So we're going to fit. We're going to assess what we have on the field through winter conditioning and in spring ball, and then adapt the principles that we believe in to fit those guys and put them in the best positions we can to go help Rutgers win football games.
Coach Kevin Xavier, Daily Targum. Janarian Grant has the athletic ability to thrive in an offense like the ones that you've mentioned thus far today. Have you spoken to him, and do you have any idea what kind of role you'd like him to play in this offense?
Yeah, me and Coach K, Zach Koo, our wide receivers coach, we were on a phone call with him the other day and had a great conversation with him talking about, you know, hey, we're going to ask you to do a couple things. If you open your heart up and allow us to coach you, we're going to put you in a position to be successful. It's not for you the lack of ability, obviously. We've seen that on the field, but for you, it's going to be whether or not you're open and willing to give us your heart and be coached and become part of this program. If you're willing to do that, you look at the people that have played that position. They've all been very, very successful, for 6, 7, 8 years now. So if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to be open to that, some really cool things are ahead of you. But if you're not, then we're gonna struggle a little bit from that standpoint. We all want the same things. We want Janarian Grant to be successful. We want Janarian Grant to have the success that he dreams of on the field. But for us to do that, first you have to be open to the coaching, the new culture, and the things that Coach Ash is bringing into this program.
Drew, you mentioned something about tight ends a minute ago. Do tight ends and fullbacks, they were a staple of the pro-style offense here before, do they still have a place here just in a different role?
Absolutely. I think the tight end is one of the most versatile, most important positions in our offense. And those we've got a stable of them here. They're talented players that we plan on utilizing. They provide a major avenue for us to do different things in the run game as well in the pass game as well, whether that be from a down the field perspective or whether in pass protection or whatever it may be. But absolutely, they're definitely a part of our offense.
Final question?
Thank you, guys.
One thing I've learned after that interview is I got to add a couple other criteria to determine whether a guy's a good coach or not. I guess age limit is one of them, and your ability to get on Twitter. I've been doing this for 20 years. I think I'm a decent coach. I don't do much on Twitter, so I guess I probably can't coach. And I felt like at a young age that I was pretty knowledgeable and could do a good job too. So I have an unbelievable faith and confidence in Drew's ability, or I would not have hired him as the offensive coordinator. The next coach that I'd like to bring up, I have had a very long relationship with for the past 20 years. He actually was my coach in college. Didn't do a very good job because I sucked. But a guy that, when you look at the positions on staff that I needed to hire, this position was the hardest one for me to settle on because I'm a defensive coach. I know what I want on the defensive side of the ball. I know what I want it to look like. I know how I want it to be coached. I know the terminology that I want. It doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly what I've done in the past. It will be a collaborative effort with the whole defensive staff. But I needed to have somebody in that position that I could work well with. When you talk about character, he's a man of very high character. When you talk about competence, he's an extremely competent football coach. And when you talk about compatibility, Coach Niemann and I have similar defensive beliefs and philosophies, and we talk football darn near every week for a number of years. And I thought it was very important for me to get an individual like this to work together on the defensive side of the ball. I will be involved on defense. I'll be in the room some. I won't be in the room some. As a head coach, a lot of other duties and responsibilities that you have to do. And when I go in the room, I want to know that it's a guy that's doing it the way I want it done, that I can work with. And when I leave, that I have trust and faith that it continues that way. And really, at the end of the day, there was only one guy that I had really the utmost respect for and confidence in being able to work together with to move the defense in the direction that we wanted to go. The next guy I'd like to introduce is our defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, Jay Niemann.
Appreciate that. It's great to be here. Chris and I, as he said, have long-standing history, dating a few years back. And to be able to coach a guy and to watch his career go as it has as an assistant and then as a coordinator, to be able to stand back and admire his work has been awesome to do. And now to be able to be on the staff and serve as an assistant coach with him being the head coach makes it even more special. So it's a thrill to be here. it's a thrill to be here under Chris, and he's assembled a great group of coaches that in the short time that we've been here have made a great impression on me. He's assembled a fantastic staff of guys. Not only they're great coaches, but great people, great family men, great individuals. So I couldn't be happier with the opportunity. I came here for that reason, but also because I believed in talking to Coach Ash that there was tremendous upside in this program. We're in a very, very good location from a recruiting perspective. We're in a program that, in my opinion, isn't that far away from being able to turn the corner and get back to being successful again. So there are a lot of things lined up, and it's our job, obviously, to get the corner turned to get back on track. And I'm just super excited for the opportunity to be a part of that process, to contribute where I can, and to help this program go. So, with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
J.P. Pelsman, Bergen Record. Jay, you just said that you feel like you're in a very good location from a recruiting perspective. Are you specifically talking about, the talent that's here in this state and about keeping some of that home?
Well, that's important to do. I think anywhere you're at, you need to be able to recruit your backyard successfully. And so that goes without being said. But this whole area of the United States, New York, New Jersey, where we're at, we have a lot of players in this area that are within our reach from a geographical perspective. Not everybody in the country obviously has that luxury, and so our job obviously is to go get the best players we can that fit the profile of what Coach Ash wants for our program. And we're just in a place from a population base where we have a good chance to do that.
Jay, Steve Politi from NJ.com. Have you had a chance to look at this defense on film? It struggled in a lot of games last year, and I'm just curious, where do you start when you're rebuilding a defense on the college level like that?
The first answer to the first question is no. I haven't seen a lot of film. We've watched bits and pieces of a couple of games just to get an idea of some of the skill sets of our players. We haven't spent a great deal of time on that and probably won't, in all honesty, until we get through the signing date and have more chance to have that become a higher priority. Right now, recruiting is front and center, as you can imagine. But I think that, you've got to assess what your guys can do. Drew made reference to that a little bit when talking about the offense. You can't fit square pegs in round holes. So we got to see what our guys can do, and then hopefully we can build the defense around what they're capable of. So that's the first thing we've got to do.
Matt Sugan from the Associated Press. Last few years on defense specifically, the secondary has struggled, one of the worst in the country. Having looked at the film, what changes, or what did you see was the problem, and what changes need to be made?
Well, I wasn't here obviously in the past to know exactly what went on in terms of who played and what the reason were for them playing. My understanding in the short term was that some guys maybe got pressed into duty a little quickly, more quickly than maybe what they were ready for. So we've got to just go back and look at how many techniques were taught, whether they've been asked to do more than maybe what they were ready to do, and that's all behind us now. Moving forward is what's most important. We've just got to see again what their skill sets are, make sure that we're teaching techniques and fundamentals that they can do, coverages that they can play, and then we got to go ask them and execute those things the best of their ability.
Coach Kevin Xavier, Daily Targum. There's been times in the past where Rutgers defense has struggled to find an identity. What are the identities that you've had with past defense, and what do you want the identity to be of this defense moving into next season?
Well, first thing we want to be is tough. We want to be aggressive. We want to be physical. We want to be a defense that's fundamentally sound. We want to be a defense that doesn't give up big plays because we're fundamentally sound. We want to be sound in our technique, and we want to be a group that plays well together with a lot of pride. Those are the things that come to mind to me.
J.K. Sargent from NJ.com. Two-part question. I guess, did Chris really suck as a football player? and then honestly, seriously, how does your vision match what he's going to be trying to teach?
Well, no. First of all, he didn't suck. He was a typical coach that had a playing career, probably like a lot of us coaches. Most of us were overachievers. He was an extremely hard worker. He did go through a knee injury, which obviously made it tough for him at times until he rehabbed and got back. But student of the game, hard worker, great to coach. Just always, hungry to get more knowledgeable about becoming a master of his position, all the things that you would expect out of a guy who's gotten himself to where he is right now. So, but I know he alluded to this earlier when he was up here talking. We have been in close contact over the years, just talking football, everything from scheme to philosophy. So, while we've been apart and been in different programs, we at the same time have stayed pretty connected. And no two people are ever identical, but I think we're really, really close on our beliefs.
Jay, Ryan Dunleavy from Gannett. You've been a head coach before, then you were a defensive coordinator at D3, but this is your first Big Ten caliber job. Something you wanted for a long time, or something that kind of wasn't always a goal and just worked out because it's Chris and it's here?
I didn't never have a roadmap to say I needed to be at the BCS level. I spent 5 really good years at Northern Illinois before coming here. We played Ohio State, we played Iowa, we played Northwestern, we played Purdue. And I think how we played defense in those games will speak for itself. If you want to go back and look, you're welcome to. So I feel comfortable with this role. I'm sure he wouldn't have hired me if he didn't feel like I could do a good job with it. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully that answers your question.
And then obviously Northern Illinois, you guys, one of the tenets was a lot of takeaways. Is that something you can teach? Can you teach the mindset of takeaways, or is that something that just happened, to work out for that defense?
Absolutely, you can teach it, coach it, demand it, and hopefully those things come to fruition on game day. I do know this: if you don't work on it, it's not likely to happen. So certainly there's always an emphasis on the defensive practice field for us.
Coach, Jason Kahn from News 12 New Jersey. Have you had any conversations with Darius Hamilton at all? And if you have, what's it like to have that guy back here?
No, well, the only conversations I've had have been with the linebackers, the guys that I'm getting ready to coach. They've been pretty brief in nature, just trying to make sure that guys are getting ready to come in and report next week, and that they're set to go with the workouts. And beyond that, we haven't gotten into great depth I haven't with any of the guys. We'll talk more about their roles and those types of things once they get here. First thing I really wanted to do is to get to know them as people, get to know what makes them tick. I think if you can build that trust and have that type of relationship up front, then all the other things will come off of that eventually as we work our way through it with them.
It's
all right, I can hear you.
All right, good. I think you're the only coach who was a head coach of the assistants. Can you talk what that experience was like, and you think that'll be an asset to Chris? Can you talk about that at all?
We really haven't talked about that. It can be an asset. To sit in that chair is different, I will say that. And anybody who's been in that chair knows. Those who have been close to people who have been in that chair have a pretty good idea of it. Chris is going to do a great job in that role. I can already see that. He's going to make that transition as smoothly and as seamlessly as anyone can. It's up to him to decide whether he wants to try to include me in any question and answer sessions about opinions or things of that nature. That's totally his prerogative, so I'll just be available if that's what he wants to do.
Jay, putting aside the fact that you're a coach, you're also the dad of a Big Ten football player.
True.
Does that help at all, knowing the league that way, and also having been through a recruiting process that way? And I guess on a lighthearted note, is your family at Iowa or RU household?
That's a loaded question. I don't think it helps at all from an X and O perspective or anything like that, to say that you've got a son, and I'm going to actually have 2 sons that are playing in the Big Ten. That just is what it is. My roots are in Iowa. That's where I grew up. That's where my kids grew up for a large portion of their life. So that's where the majority of our family is at. So consequently, that's where they chose to go to school, and that's just how it worked out. But no, I don't think there's really any advantage one way or the other to going through the recruitment process with them as it relates to what I do.
Matt Sugan from the Associated Press. I'll make it 2 questions, if that's all right, Haas. First, this has historically been a 4-3 defense here. pretty sure that's what you've run. Is that the plan going forward? And two, also, what's it like, I guess, kind of being the elder statesman of the coaching staff with such a young staff?
Whatever gave you that idea? Yeah, I mean, you got to have a starting point, and obviously Coach Ash's base is 4-3, and that's what mine has been too. Myself as a coach, when he was playing, was kind of when he as a player and me as a coach cut our teeth on 4-3 quarters. That's where it started, and obviously that's been a while ago. So things dovetail and go different directions in different areas with your X's and O's. So that's where we'll start. But again, as Drew said earlier, I think one of our big jobs is to decide what our players can do and make sure that we're just not stuck in our ways and then set on things at the point where we can't make adjustments within the scheme to fit the people that are playing it. Certainly that's got to be the number one thing front and center, that we ask our guys to, to put them in positions to do things that they're capable of doing. So, and what was the other part?
Being one of the older guys.
Oh, that part. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a perception. Age is a number. All it is to me. I still feel like I can go out there and run around on the field with a lot of enthusiasm and keep up with everybody else. So, if experience plays a role in helping for us to try to do what we're doing as a staff, I guess that's a plus. Beyond that, I don't really think about it too much. Thanks, Coach. Okay. Thanks.
We'll wrap up this portion of the press conference here. The rest of the coaches will move upstairs. They'll be assigned a table with a name. More than welcome to go sit down with any of the coaches for a period of time and ask any questions that you feel necessary. Appreciate you guys coming. Really looking forward to building a relationship with each and every one of you guys, and excited to move forward. Thank you.